Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Shake Up with Dr. Kit. It's Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Time, and I'm right here in Alabama hosting this. And I just want to thank all of you that are online and those that will be coming on. So good to see you. As always, we have a good show for you. We try to get the best kind of wholesome shows, very wholesome. And when you find a good wholesome show, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because that is the bloodline of all good podcasts, okay? Not just mine, but every wholesome podcast needs you that you are affiliated with. Like, follow, share, and subscribe, all right? And if you would like to be a part of our programming here, just get in touch with Dr. Kid Speaks at gmail.com, and my office will get in touch with you, and we'll get you hooked up. And if you would like to be off camera, that's fine, but we'd rather have you on camera with us, okay? So, all right, enough said. I'm going to go right ahead and get into our program for now. I have a wonderful guest, wonderful young lady. And as always, so that I don't mess things up, I don't ask for their bios. They are their own bio. They are the professionals at who they are, what they are, when they are, and how they are. They're all of that. So now I'm going to bring my very special guest on tonight. And here she is. And go ahead.
Hello. My name is Lisa Lauture. I am the founder of Grow and Glow Academy, and I am a life coach. I'm a family advocate. I advocate for children who have been abused. I am adamant about our teens being our future. And so I want to pour as much into our future as possible. And so right now, that is the area that God has called me to. And I'm very passionate about that. We got the kids covered. We got grown folks covered. But there is this space in there, those who are being ushered into adulthood. And I see that gap. And I am, my heart is big enough to fill it. Okay. And so that's where I'm at. Yes.
Well, thank you, Lisa. Listen, thank you for just wanting to be on here with me, with this show. So I just want to thank you. But listen, grow and glow. That's not just some rhyming stuff. Okay. Mm-hmm. I know that behind that name, there is a purpose, mm-hmm. and every purpose starts with the person.
Yes.
So that's where I'd like to start tonight. Why grow and glow? And then we get into the purpose part. Why grow and glow? It's a nice day. It's nice. I'm done growing, so I'm done glowing. So
We are never, okay? We are never done growing and glowing, okay?
So I'm good? So I'm good?
Yeah, you got more in you, okay?
I like it.
The fact that you have started a podcast, that is a growth journey. Yeah, and when we go through our growth journey and we get started and we allow God to fertilize that soil and cultivate our growth experience, then we start showing up, showing out, bearing fruit for others to see. And so that is our witness. So trust me, you starting this podcast is a testimony to somebody else that they too have something to say and that they can share as well. So
Lisa, I ain't going nowhere.
Very good. Yes. So yes.
No, but listen, you use a very and I'm going to get back to the other part too. You use a very good word. You said God, and then you said fertilize, and I'm thinking God the farmer, but I'm also thinking about like my wife. She likes to do her little garden, and she will fertilize that for a reason. And so now you're taking care of the grown folks, the older people, then you're taking care of the kids. So, but you got to have good soil, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got to have some good soil. Can you talk about no, about fertilizing the soil? Why you at this time? Why you at this time? The fertilizing person.
Well, I'm gonna be honest.
Yes.
I don't know.
You don't
Because for a very long time, and it's something just when I talked to my husband about this process that led me to here, I thought that I was going to be working with women. That was my thing, women's ministry, women's empowerment. That's my jam,
Mhm.
um, and I kept asking God to give me clarity, give me clarity, give me clarity. And God did not send me to women's ministry. He sent me to the youth department. And I was thrown because I said, I thought, what's going on? I'm away.
Rugrats.
Yes. And not just the youth department, but the teenagers. And
Teenage,
not just
yeah.
the teenagers, but the high schoolers. And
Oh,
so it took a lot of prayer. I said, Lord, I don't know what you're doing here, but I'm a go with it. And just when it got the hardest for me in
mm,
this experience with working with the youth is when the Holy Spirit let me know this is where I want you to be. I didn't call you to go out and minister to women and then take your as you grow in this, then you give back to the youth. No, I called you to give your first. You're all right now. I called you to give all of that to the youth. And when I accepted that and I started talking to the youth and teaching them from a personal development perspective, that's when I saw a shift in them. And I said, this is where I'm supposed to be. I know it. This is where I'm supposed to be. And
yeah.
so I'm walking in it. I can't explain it. All I know is that God knows, he knew all along that he planned for me to be here. And then I think back the ideas that I have had about, helping young people to um survive school. I had that idea years ago. And the Holy Spirit at that time, every time I have an idea, the Lord tell me write it down. And I write it down in a journal, and then I forget the journal, I lose the journal, I write it on a piece of paper, I forget it and I lose it. But one thing that I have learned is that when you write it down, it becomes embedded within you. So it wasn't for me to save in a book so that I can have these ideas. No, God was saying, when you write this down, it is ingrained in you. And that's exactly what happened. All the ideas that came to me along the way from years ago now comes back to me in a flood. And the Lord is letting me know, all this time I planned for you to be here. You just didn't think that that's where, you didn't accept the call. You didn't accept the call.
You know,
So
you kind of remind me about Moses. When
mhm,
Moses is up on the hillside tending his sheep, and just going for a nice little amble through the rocks in the woods. And he heard this voice.
mhm.
You know the story well. He heard the voice. And Moses was saying, "Wait a minute, I didn't raise my hand for this." God says, "Yeah, you didn't, but I raised both hands. I just
Mhm.
I raised you up, yeah." And then on top of that, Moses had the audacity to say to God, "Well, who am I anyhow? Who am I?" And so that's the question I'm posing to you right now. You thought you were going to women's ministry. He thought he thought his calling was to be a shepherd.
Mhm.
Shepherd. You thought yours was going to be to work with women and do all these wonderful things about women and write, take women all over the world and empower women to become leaders and stuff like that. But God says, no, no. The cries of my youth.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The cries of my youth have come up onto me.
Mm-hmm.
And I need you to go down there and get down there with them. That's your jam. That's what you said.
Yes.
That's what I want you to do. So like Moses, did you have one of these moment with God? Now, God, I got my life planned. I'm gonna do women's ministry. Did you do that? Did you do that? What was that like for you?
So I have a very specific experience.
Okay.
So as I have been, because I'm also, being led to be a speaker, and so first of all it is, this calling and being very specific about my calling came at a time where I did not see how I was going to do this. But I knew that if God called me to it, that he would give me everything I needed to be able to do it. So I would say about a year and a half ago, I would turn on the camera to do a podcast or just to talk to the people. I would stand there for 20 minutes, no words, just staring at the camera. Like all of the notes that I wrote, all of the messages I had would disappear. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? I go to stand up and tell a testimony at church, and my heart is racing so bad that I would chicken out. And when I started telling my testimonies at church, I was just super nervous, like very, very nervous. And I said, how can I speak when I can't even stand up and talk to the people I know? I can't even get on the microphone and talk to them. So how am I going to talk to a room full of people that I don't know? God sent me down to the youth, nervous. You hear me? I was so nervous. And then I never thought of myself as a teacher. So I'm like, I'm supposed to be teaching. And then not only did God say, because I was like, yeah, I could teach the middle schoolers. No, high schoolers. That is where you go. That is where I'm telling you to go. And I'm like, this is the toughest crowd in the church. And this is where you want me to go? Absolutely. That's where you're going to go. And that's where you're going to stay. And through that process, though, I kept going to the Lord and saying, I let the Lord know, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, whatever you call me to, I can do it because you're the one who's going to help me do it. So all of these times that I turn on the camera and my mind is blank, it's because you don't have anything for me to say in that moment. So I am waiting. I'm going, just like Jacob, I'm going to hold on to this until you bless me. Okay? And that's what I did. And I kept asking, who am I supposed to talk to? Who am I supposed to show up for? And I kept doing that over and over again. I kept going back to God. And one day me and my husband were walking, and he said, you're getting into speaking, and I know that this message and all of the messages that you have would be perfect for schools, high schools, even colleges. Like freshmen need this. And I said, I didn't say it out loud. I said it in my mind. In order for me to do that, I actually have to become a completely different person. I have to change my message. I have to completely change, and I don't know how to do that. And what was ironic, and what I was telling my coach, is that the journey that I've been on, as far as seeking out coaching and all of that stuff, was so that I could change and become the person who did the thing. And I said, and it's ironic that in that moment that Eddie told me that, I forgot that was my mission in the first place. I forgot. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. There's a son, 6'5". How you doing? To use your Moses analogy, Dr. Kent, Lisa didn't forget that Moses. Don't forget that Moses had a stuttering problem, and God used him to lead an entire nation. Can you respond to that from your own personal experience, please? Thank you, 6'5".
Yes, thank you so much. So God reminded me of that. One of the reasons, because I had been doing Tuesday morning devotions up until last week was my last episode of my Tuesday morning devotions. And I realized before, like along the way, that every message that God had me share with the people on Facebook is the everything that I needed. I needed to hear that. I needed to see that. I needed to open the Bible. And instead of, because I love me a good book. Okay. The books you see here is nothing compared to the books that I have. Okay. I have lots of books. I love to read. I love motivation. I love autobiographies and all of those things. And God said, but I gave you the best personal development book that you could ever get. And you have it in your possession in multiple ways. You got it on your phone, you got a couple of physical copies, and that is the Bible. And so God had me go through and look at biblical principles. Go and look at, the stories of the Bible. And not only did I teach them on my Tuesday morning devotion, but I started to share those with the youth. And that's when I don't know, it just all clicked. It all clicked that this is where I'm supposed to be and this is what I'm supposed to do. And so when I stand before the youth, I'm not standing there as someone who is just teaching them something that I have not experienced. And it translates when I'm talking to them. I have experienced these things. I was not the cool kid in school. Okay. So I'm not the cool kid in high school, but God is calling me to go and teach high schoolers, I had to check whatever thoughts and beliefs that I had about that population, okay? Because they are people. So I had to check whatever beliefs I had to check them at the door and go and do what God told me to do. And it took a lot for me to do that, because just like Moses, he had the stuttering problem. I had the shuddering problem. Okay. There were times I had to take deep breaths so that I wouldn't be standing up there shaking like a leaf,
Yeah.
But God showed up and he directed me every time. Every time I talk to them, even now, God direct me. And you know what? I see it. I see it in their demeanor. I see it in how, sometimes they may not be paying attention, but there's something I say that brings their attention back to what I'm saying. And so it was like, and we're talking about, mindset shifts. I had to shift my mindset so that I could help them shift theirs. So
I love that, man. I got all kinds of things. Listen, a quick commercial break. I got me a wonderful person here online. Those of you that are online, this is Lisa Lauture. She is an amazing woman. I want you to, and she is the owner. She's the mind, whatever they call it, of Grow and Glow Academy. Make sure you get her info, because if you ever want somebody to talk to your teenagers, this is the person, like right here. I'm going to give you some endorsements.
Thank you.
Yes. Right. But listen, listen. As you were talking about transitioning from where you wanted to be, which was I want to work with women. And I can just see in my mind, whereas God is saying, Lisa, if I allow you to work with women, you will be doing more of what you know and more of who you are. But if I take you to work with those kids, you will now have to shift who you are and to develop who you're not into who you need to become. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because if you do that, you're going to be telling women the same old story over and over and over and over again. But now you've got to dig into yourself. And I love the idea that you keep on giving God the credit for doing all of this. So like Moses, before Moses could lead the children of Israel, you know, God said to him, listen, you think all you're good for is just hearing all night long, all day long. God said, no, I want you to go in here. Is this all? Were there no more graves in Egypt while you brought us out? He wanted God to bring them out, but also to do what? Prepare Moses to be a great leader, but also to prepare Moses for the kingdom. You understand what I'm saying here? And God will take you somewhere where you don't want to go and create your discomfort to be comfort. You know, yes. You know, he'll do that. Listen. So talk about this. There was a part of you, and I just wanted to get an answer for this. There was a part of you that had to agree with God that you would do this, so He didn't have to force you. But there had to be a part of you that said, I can't do this, but I can do this with some help. I can't do it, but I can do it with some help. And I'm thinking about, and we're going to get to that in a moment, because my next question coming up is going to be about this empowerment piece. But talk about what it was like for you to say, God, I can't do this, but I can do this. You go ahead.
With that, see, one of the things that I have learned, and it has been ingrained in me growing up, is that the scripture, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
There you go.
But if I don't ask God to help me to do the things, it don't get done. And so I watched my mom transform. I watched my mom, okay? And I watched her very closely growing up, whereas there were things that she didn't know how to do. There are things now, it's like stuff that I have I talk about, like remedies and things that she ordered and stuff like that. And now I'm thinking, she did this stuff when internet and having a computer in your home was not common. How in the world did she find this resource? How in the world did she find this remedy when she couldn't just pick up a phone and look up, how do you handle this situation, or how do you heal this sickness, or whatever it is? And just watching her, I knew that if I kept going to God over and over again and asking, God doesn't get tired of me asking over and over again. People do, but God doesn't. And so that's what I did. Lord, I need help with, like, for example, the speaking. I told the Lord, how do I start speaking when I can't even get up in front of the church and talk? And the Holy Spirit said, go back to prayer meeting, and you're going to sit there and you are going to get up there and do it. And the first time I did it, I had the mic in my hand. I can't even remember what day, so I can look back at it. But my hand was shaking so bad. But I was standing up there like, but I did it. I did it. And when it was all over, I sat down and I said, Lord, thank you for helping me to do it, despite, my limitations or what I think is holding me back. And that's how my process. I am on a lifelong journey of becoming, and I start with asking God. um I ask God, you gave this to me, you gave this thought, this vision, this calling to me. Now I need your help with every step of the way. And what I love about the process, though, is that my desire has always been to be so planted in God that, when people try to present things that are not of God, that it won't be such a, like how some people are like, oh, this is so tempting. I want to be so fixed in what God got for me that saying no is easy. And I want to be so clear, not necessarily about every single step, but I want to be so clear on the direction that God has me in, that I do not get deterred, and I'm not willing to get deterred. And I know that the only way I can do that is to keep going back to God. And so that's what I do. When I say I am God's girl, I am God's girl. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And I wear that because every time, see, when you are, when you need a transformation, what God does is you take your concerns to Him. He will help you with the very first step. As hard as it is, God will help you take that step. And then that is evidence. This is evidence that you can do it. And then you take another step. And then that's evident. Oh, I took 2 steps. I can do this. And so God not only will help you to do it, but he gives you that as a trail of evidence that the vision you have for yourself is very much possible. And it starts with this step right here. Don't worry about all the steps moving forward, In order for me to stand and speak in front of 1,000 people, I got to be able to stand and speak in front of 2 or 10 or 20. And God does that. And that has been the story of my life. Okay. Lord, I can't do it, but I know you can. I see what you've done for others, and I want you to do that for me, and that's my walk.
All right. Christine Lambert, any suggestion how to find my God-given purpose? I just got laid off from a customer service job. Any ideas about how to find our God-given purpose? Because you seem to have like the real raw way of how God brought you.
Mm-hmm. So, in order to,
thank you, Christine.
Yes, thank you. In order to find your God-given purpose, you got to ask the one who got the purpose for you. Okay? And when I say that, I don't mean that in theory. I mean for real. Lord, this is my situation. But instead of me just getting any old another job or just settling for something, I ask you to guide me and believe that God will guide you. Okay? And then you have to expect it. And sometimes it's hard for us to expect God to do things because of sometimes it's our upbringing. We have learned growing up that when you expect things from people, they let you down. And so we tack that onto God as if God is going to do that, or we're told that, what is it? What's thy will be done, Lord. And we expect God's will to be something just so small and so like undesired. And you have to believe. And when I say that, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I am walking that every day. Lord, I have to believe that what you're doing with me now is leading me to my purpose. And the thing that I realized, and the thing that you will realize, is when you surrender this to God, because you're going to have to surrender this to God, is God has been showing you your purpose all along. God has shown me all along that I'm supposed to be working with the youth. All along, evidence. I mean, some of them journals that I wrote in and then tucked it away in the rest of my books, if I go back, I have pages of messages, pages of ideas that help serve the youth.
Okay.
Why did I not realize? Why did I not realize? It was not until I surrendered and asked God to help me to see it. And you can do that. Ask God to help you see it and be okay with knowing that it's going to come. It's going to come.
Okay. Thank you for that. Wonderful, wonderful. Let me just say this in here really quick. I'm hoping that her response was good, because I think it's an excellent response. But I'm going to make a comparison between you and Moses again. Okay. Moses is my favorite Bible character.
Okay.
Moses is my man. Moses, listen, I love Moses. Because I guess I was as crazy as he was. But there was a three-level process on a continuum in Moses' life, right? Born in Egypt, grew up as a prince of Egypt, right? Number one. Killed a man, had to go become a shepherd. Number two. Number three was had to go back. That's number three now, okay? To learn, to be a leader. Three things. And I'm just sitting here just listening to how well you say what you say. Number one, I want to do women's ministry. God said, okay. Number two, I want to go work with young men, youth. And God says, but, and then he calls you out of the bush. And then you said, who are you, right? And I'm sitting here saying, this young woman could be an amazing preacher. You can laugh at me. Moses didn't think he could become a good leader. He said, who am I, Lord? That's what this question. Moses had no idea of the story of the person behind the person he was seeing, but God saw all of that. 1, 2, 3. You have 1, 2, 3. Women, youth, and 3 is about to come. Moses, Prince of Egypt, shepherd, and then the one that God wanted him to do, he was very reluctant. He's going to have an argument with God. So I'm saying, you just never know what God's got up his sleeve for you. You just never know.
I'm open to whatever God leads me.
And I'm so happy to hear that. So wonderful, wonderful. So watch out for number 3, okay?
Okay. Oh, and Christine, it was Christine who asked the question.
If we can slide it back up there, let me see. It might have been, but go ahead. Yes, okay. Christine Lambert. Go ahead.
Yes. Text me on that number. Okay.
Okay.
Text me on that number.
So go ahead and text her. Text her on this number, 615-434-9511. Okay, so go ahead and text her on that. Now, here's a question that I've been wanting to, I'm not going to ask this question. Grow and glow. Grow and glow. So now, see, my wife, she likes to garden. And sometimes she will go and get a plant. And sometimes she go get seeds. But there is a planting, but it's a different process of planting a seed and plant a plant. You plant a plant, you can go out and watch it every day. When you plant a seed, you got to be so patient. So patient. It's in there, but you can't see it until it's time to pop up. So God is saying to you, I planted a seed, not a plant, Lisa. Are you hearing me what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. You better hear what I'm saying. Lisa, I did not plant you as a plant. I planted a seed, so it's going to take some time to come on up. But be that as it may, these young people that you're working with, this growth process,
Mm-hmm.
can you talk about this growth process that it's not something you want to do, it's who you are? Talk
Mm-hmm.
about it from your own, this is who I am. And I
Yeah.
want to pass on some of my amness, if I can kill the English language, my amness to
Mm-hmm.
who? To your arness. Oh, I'm killing it. Yeah, that's what I said it. Can you talk about this growing? We're going to get to the glow part in a moment, but you got to have
Mm-hmm.
something to glow. So talk about this growth part a little bit.
Okay. So I wrote down a personal quote. This is a quote that it was downloaded into my spirit.
Good.
Based on my process and my growth journey. Okay. And this is one of the most valuable lessons that I have learned. It says, I don't do, therefore I become. I become, therefore I do. So what
Ooh.
it's saying is, and what that quote is we always focus on the doing. If I could just do this, if I could just do that, if I could just, be consistent with doing the things, then I will become great or I will become successful. No, 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 no. You have to become the person. And that starts with that mindset shift. You have to shift your mindset. And so, in order for me to be sitting here on the Shake Up with Dr. Kit, there was a process. I had to go through a process where I, number one, believed that who I am is unique and special, and God did not miss when He made me. That was the very first thing that God worked with me on, is my identity.
Mm,
And that's what I teach. Your identity is not negotiable. Your value, your worth is not negotiable. So no matter what you see now, if all you see is you, little old you, in the dirt, then that's okay, because everything that 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 was needed in order for that apple tree to grow and become all that it became, it started with everything that was necessary for that process to begin inside the seed. Okay. Before it even got in the ground, the
mm,
seed was created to be the apple tree. And so you have to believe that everything that God says about you is absolutely true in
mm,
order for you to grow. Now, for you to be valuable does not require your belief, but for you to grow, it requires your belief. And so my growth process began when I began to believe what God said about me. And the more I kept walking in that, the more I kept believing. Because even all of this, my transformation started years ago. Years ago, I asked God, what is the one thing I could do to be the person that I see today? Okay. This is the Lisa you see today is the Lisa of my wildest dreams.
mm,
And years ago, I said, Lord, what I see in my current reality don't line up with the Lisa that I desire to be, but I believe that you planted that vision of her in me. And so I asked that you would give me at least one thing to do on a consistent basis to help me. I am, I'm not taking care of myself. I am not willing to in at home. I am bubbly. I am, I laugh out loud. I sing. I do all the things. And then when I step out the door, I go back into this shell, and I don't want to do that anymore. And so, believe it or not, the reason why, if you ever see me with lipstick on, the reason I wear that lipstick is a reminder that at the start of that journey, that one thing that God told me to do was go get lipstick. And it wasn't just any lipstick. It was a red and a fuchsia pink. Okay. And I wore that lipstick, number one, because my kids were young. They were not sleeping through the night. So during the day, I was not like, I would forget all about Lisa. My goal was to survive the day. And so it helped me to get out of survival mode. Putting on lipstick, I did my self-care so that I could put on the lipstick. And then, I always would shrink back. I wanted to be, fall into the background or whatever. And so wearing the red lipstick and then this hot pink actually made me more seen, more visible. And so when I put it on and I was out and people would look at me or they would come, I love that lipstick on you. Then I had to challenge, okay, say thank you. Say thank you. Don't say thank you so much. I'm not used to doing this. And no. You say thank you and you keep it pushing because your desire, that Lisa that you desire to become, is not afraid of being seen. And so every experience that I have had, even I say back this was the lipstick story started about 12 years ago. But my journey with how I have grown throughout the years, it has been lifelong. And I know for me, I took hold of God at an early age. God introduced me to himself. I remember the earliest when I was 3 years old, and I always desired to, have a relationship with God. And it was because I was the Lisa who didn't think that I could do it. I was the Lisa that didn't think I could do it. I was always scared of something, whether it's being seen, whether it is, something, afraid to speak up, all of that. And those seeds were planted when I was a kid.
Right.
And they grew and cultivated all the way into my adulthood. And so I want, and I know God has placed this desire into me to address the youth in their teenage years, because all of those seeds that have been planted along the way, it's at this time in history, it is more necessary now for our teens, our youth, to get those seeds plucked out before they get into adulthood. At this point, for me, it is a rescue mission. It is a rescue mission because you have, talking about fertilizer, you have the media wanting to fertilize those seeds. You have people in school, kids in school, teachers with rotten attitudes wanting to fertilize those seeds for the purpose of making money. There are companies making millions and billions of dollars off of the insecurity of kids, and they're starting in childhood so that by the time they got some buying power. And see, when I was a kid, we didn't have no buying power until we was grown. Our kids have their own bank accounts. Our kids have their own access to their own money and access to online, so they can buy and see and experience whatever it is that they thought that they want to, experience. And God is saying, we gotta work on this now. Yeah. And so for me, I had into my adulthood to work on this stuff, but they don't. Okay. They don't have it.
Let me ask you this. I talked about three phases for Moses, three phases for you. Now I'm going to talk about three more phases. I'm going to ask you to talk about the last one. There is the planting. That's number one, and you didn't. And when the seed, but think about it. When you put the seed in the ground, the seed then got a clue that it's in the ground. It doesn't know what's inside of it. It doesn't know what the next move is. And so over time, that seed now becomes a plant. What happens if the plant just says, well, I just want to be a nice little plant flowing in the wind? Okay. Because you said, because now I got to grow. So before we run out of time, can we get to the glow part? Because glowing to me, that's got to be some excitement, grow and glow, plant, grow, glow. I want you to talk about this glowing because in my mind, I've seen some kids doing some great stuff at the glow stage. Because when you glow, you just finished talking about lipstick, that people can see you. When you glow, the whole light from your face, the whole light from your brain just becomes so effervescent that people just see you wherever you are, and those kids will not be ashamed to stand up and say, I'm ready to glow.
Yes.
And you talk about that glow piece for that you want for the kids.
Yes. So the glowing is where you produce fruit. So, the seed gets planted. If you, like, some people can say, this is I don't know, this is an apple seed, or this is an orange seed. But when you pull out a bunch of citrus seeds and mix them all together, how do you know which one is the orange? And how do you know which one is the grapefruit? How do you know which one is the lemon? It is not until you grow, you get planted, then you begin to grow, and then you have to produce fruit. And that is where you show the gifts and the talents that God has given you. We all have our own unique gifts and talents, which means that we all produce different fruit. And the reason God set it up like that is because every person that he has created was called to bring value in some kind of way to somebody. We don't all have all the things. God gave all the things, he spread it out so that everyone has something to bring to the table. And so with producing the fruit, it was not enough for me to just be seen. The being seen was for a reason. And I knew that because not only the vision that I have seen of Lisa is not just me, look at me, here I am, but even when I was modeling, it was not enough for me to just take pictures. No, if you see a picture of Lisa on her page, there is a message there, because it is I had to, like, every time I had a photo, there was a message behind it. Every time I stand up in front of someone, there is a message. Every time I sing, there is a message behind that, because the actual fruit for Lisa is I have a gift of admonishment. So I did a spiritual gifts test, and that was one of my gifts, was shepherding. And
okay, we're back to that. Okay. Oh, be careful, because that was not the end of the story for Moses. I just want to put that in there. Okay, shepherd.
Shepherding of people, as well as admonishing. So delivering a message. And so it's never enough for me to just show up. If I'm going to talk, and by nature, I'm actually very quiet and observant until I get super comfortable. And then that's when silly Lisa comes out. But if I'm talking, God has me delivering a message. And so that's my fruit, is those messages, and the purpose of fruit or any kind of produce is to nourish the body, is to nourish the person. So if the gifts that God gives you, if you allow God to plant you, and it may not be pleasant, but just like working out, it's if you're lifting weights, it depends on how you see it. It's either going to be painful or it's going to be powerful. And so you have to decide if your process is going to be painful or if it's going to be powerful. And if you do that, if you allow God to take you through your process, you will be amazed at the fruit that he produces from you. Because it's in there. It's in there. And so that's where the glowing part comes in.
Glowing part, so people can see. Okay, KD, how has your teaching impacted the youth so far?
Okay, so thank you so much, KD. I teach at the church, and then I also, by profession right now, am a family advocate, and so I do assessments for kids who have gone to juvenile court.
Okay.
And so again, it's not enough. I said, Lord, you something else. It's not enough for me to just do an assessment on a teenager who has been who did something that landed them in court. No, when after I finish and I tell them, I want you to be completely honest with me because I'm not the judge. And I'm not sending you back to court. You done already got charged with whatever it is you got charged with. So at this point, let's just be honest. And so I remove that off the table. Them thinking that I'm going to send a letter to the judge saying that they're a bad kid. And so, and this is just an example of the many experiences that I've had just recently. And so they tell me, I did this, I broke into this place, or I did X, Y, Z. And when they're all done and I sit there and I repeat back everything that they've said to me. And then I say, I just want you to know that you are not a bad kid. When I look at you, I do not see a bad kid. I see someone who has made a decision that is not wise, but there is still, you can still make wise decisions moving forward. And then I encourage them. I let them know that, just the principles. You do not have to follow everybody. You are your own person. You are an individual. And I give them that motivational speech. Okay. The same thing I do with my own, because charity begins at home. So my babies and even my husband have heard some personalized motivational speeches for them.
Yeah.
But when I do that, this is what I see. I see a kid who's sitting back. I done already told her everything that I was going to tell her. And then when I speak what God has told me to tell them, then I see them lean forward. So they're listening. And what are teenagers known for? Not listening. Yeah. Moving on. Let's get this over with. I've even had kids say, so how long is this going to take? It can take as long as you need it to take. And by the time we finish that assessment and I finish saying what God, because I pray, I don't care who it is. If I'm going to talk to you, just know that I am praying for your situation and praying about what you need to hear in the moment. I am God's vessel. And so that's what I do with my kids. And I tell them that. And they, like, I had one guy say, what church you go to? And I'm like, and this is a teenager. This boy was like 15 years old. What church you go to? It doesn't matter. This is the message for it. This message is just for you. And then some of them are like, so I got to go now, so it's not that, I get to see them go out and be great. I'm planting the seeds. Just like somebody came along in my life and told me something negative and it stuck with me, and that thing took root and kept growing and growing and affected my behavior. I know how effective it is to plant seeds. So my thing is planting good seeds. And so the effects that I see is in the moment is a shift in their demeanor, you know. So
listen, Lisa, I want to thank you so much. Thank you so much. You have dropped a wealth of great. Okay, really great.
That's my mama.
What's that now?
Huh?
That's who
That's
you
my
said?
mama.
Hey, listen, we don't do that on the show. Your mama can't come on the top good about you like that. Hey, mama, your daughter did really well.
You're not the only one I saw on here. I saw my coach CJ on here, my coach Arsenio. Yes.
Oh, man. Listen, you see all these people who believe in you, Yes, that's good, Lisa. Listen,
yes,
you got some good
coach.
people.
Okay, thank you, Arsenio. My
Oh,
husband, Papa Bear.
hey, oh man, listen, man. Listen,
Yes.
you know, some good people. You listen, you got yourself, you surround yourself with a good woman right here. All right. Lisa, but I really do thank you. I really, really do thank you. I mean, you dropped some golden nuggets on us this evening. I mean, it's so very spiritual, and yet it was right because it's very biological and psychological and sociological all at the same time, which is really, really good. Take just a couple of seconds here and just leave a message with your people. You know, not something that they have to bite at it. Just what they can just grab it and grasp it and run with it. What would you tell them?
I would tell them, and I wrote it down so I will make sure that I remember, even though I say this with ease all the time. What do you want? What is it that you desire? Who is it that you desire to be? What habits do you desire to have? Identify what that is, and then you write down who you have to become in order to do those things. Who do you have to become to do those things? And you ask God to help you to become that person. That's my message.
Oh, Lisa, I just want to thank you. I'm not going to say anything about what you just said. I just love what you just said, Lisa. And I thank you for just hanging out with me on the Shake Up tonight and all the people that was on the Shake Up. And you brought your crew along with you on the Shake Up. You know, and including your mama and your husband. What is this? Come on. You know, so I just want to thank you so much. Don't go away. We're gonna pull you in the back. We're gonna, just say a couple of things to you. But Lisa, thank you so much, and we'll talk again. Okay?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So there you have it, folks. For more information on Grow and Glow Academy, there is a text that's coming up: 615-434-9511. That's it, 615-434-9511 for Lisa Lauture, and you'll be able to get in touch with her, and she's good for you. Okay, she really is. Okay, and so I just want to thank you all so much for just hanging out with us this evening. Okay, and if you'd ever like to be a part of the show like Lisa was this evening, just check with my office, okay, at drkidspeaks@gmail.com. Check with my office, drkidspeaks@gmail.com, and they will get you all ready for this, okay? You can be on camera. We'd love for you to be on camera now. But some people are not camera people, are not camera ready. We'll get you ready for So we'd like you to be on this. All right, drkidspeaks@gmail.com. Okay, like, follow, share, and subscribe is what we want you to do with this and all other healthy, wholesome podcast. There's some really good things going on out there. Some really good people out there. Okay. So like, follow, share, and subscribe. That's how we grow. That's how we get the message out to people. And we don't want the message to be just shallow and just fall like a basketball with no air. We want it to bounce. Just keep on bouncing. Keep on bouncing from one place to another. Okay. So we do. Thank you. All right. With that said, I'm going to say, God willing, we'll do it again next week, and be blessed, and have yourselves a wonderful evening. Okay. Bye bye now. Thanks for being on the Shake.